No more silence.
No more silence.
From now on.
Judgment speaking.
No more captivity.
No more captivity. No more captivity.
From now on, we ain't letting the pressure ride. You wasn't with the covenant, you wasn't with us in the fire. Tremble when the kingdom rise. No more captivity.
No more captivity.
The lion, the Jew stepping in the light. We was scared. Now it's time to set it right. Yeah. Had to awaken to the truth. Now we stand tall. From the ashes of the curse, here the last call. They left when we broken in the downfall. Now the same ones watching prophecy unfold. We were slaves. Now we kings in the making. Every chain that they forged now breaking. Covenant bloodline, no mistaking. Judgment coming, yeah, the earth gon' shake it. Edom thought the throne was forever. Moab seen, but they couldn't measure. Ishmael built, but it won't hold together when the most high rise. Who can stand under pressure? We the people of the promise in the fire. Every nation bowing low, we go higher. They denied us, called us lies. Now the truth burning kingdom.
Let me get a couple of ones in the chat just to make sure the audio is good. Let me get a couple of ones in the chat. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Let me make sure the audio is good. Please give me a couple of ones in the chat, please.
No more captivity.
No more captivity. No more captivity.
From now on, we ain't letting the pressure ride. You wasn't with the covenant, wasn't with.
All praises to the Most High, y'all. Y'all invest in the Forefront Radio, man. We got to get some new technology because my podcast equipment is tripping hard, y'all. I was trying to go live using this condenser mic, this dynamic microphone that I normally use. I literally bought this less than a year ago, but it's already starting to glitch out on me. I got to use this old one that I had from like 2-3 years ago. But y'all can hear the audio good. It's no issues, right? Y'all hear me pretty good. It's clear, right? Let me get a couple of like Y's for yes, N's for no.
Back 100-fold. We ain't back, we reclaiming the throne. Every promise that was written in the stone. Now the trumpet sound echo through the zone. And the scatter tribes finally coming home. Edom, pride, yeah, they fall.
That's what I like to hear. I see all the Y's there, and they saying it's crystal clear. Okay, good. All praises to the Most High.
The Most High speak it devout. We were low. Now we rising as rulers from the wilderness to heavenly future. They can't stop what was written.
Does this microphone sound better than the other ones that I normally use? Does it sound like very, very good professional grade? Or does it sound so-so? Let me know.
Now the kingdom of Israel gon' stay.
They had their time, now it's ours. Tears turn to crowns, pain turn to power.
So it sounds about the same to you. You can't tell any difference. Okay, so that's okay. That's good. As long as it sounds good quality and you're able to hear with no issues, then that's a good thing.
No more captivity.
No more captivity.
Now the nation see the truth in plain sight.
Shalom to everybody joining on. Welcome to the Forefront Radio, where the truth is not for investigation, only lies because of intimidation. I'm your host, Afia Levi Israel. We're going to talk about the top 10 news impacting our black community all across the globe. So stay tuned for the updates. We're about to get into it very well this today.
Forever. And never.
Y'all know what it is. Tap this screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people. We want to make sure we get to at least 150K on this live stream. So make sure y'all tap this screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people, y'all.
Tell me why your robes are stained like wine.
Yeah, I was up last night real late. I was up from 3 a.m. all the way to like 7 a.m. my time, and it's currently like 7:13 Central Africa time. So y'all know how I do. I'm consistent. If one thing about Forefront, I'm consistent. So I gotta give y'all some news and information. I gotta tell y'all what's going on in the community. I'm here for my people. You understand? Team no sleep over here. You dig?
Yeah. Tread where the grapes are crushed, garments stained where the judgment rushed, blood rising high where the horses run when the day of vengeance finally come. Nations nations plotting, but their plans in vain. Thunder rolling in the heavens flame. Angels moving through the clouds of war. Trumpets roaring like a lion's roar. Reaping coming for the wicked ones. Gnashing teeth when the judgment comes. Fire falling like a storm of light while the righteous rising. Zion.
It's good to see y'all on here. Make sure y'all tapping the screen and getting the likes up. You always, fam. You already know.
From the common light, the wicked crumble beneath our feet like dry stubble in the summer heat. Zion laughing as the kingdom rise. Truth returning before their eyes. Messiah coming with righteous flame. Justice written in his holy name. Same oppressors who bound the chains. Now they trembling in the fire and pain. Latter rain falling like ancient floods. Washing Babylon in crimson blood. Rejoice, O Zion.
All right, we got about 20 people in the room, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, y'all. So the music is called Babylon Fallen. It's the epic movie version. You can find this on our SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com. Just type Babylon Fallen Epic Movie Remix, and you'll be able to listen to this track.
Babylon falling to the ground now. Babylon falling to the ground now. Babylon coming, Babylon coming, Babylon falling to the ground now. Judgment striking like a thunderclap. True freak turning with the power back. Wicked kingdoms thought they ruled the land. Now they shaking when the king.
All right, let's go ahead and get started with our discussion for today. Welcome to the Forefront Radio, where the truth is not for investigation, only lies because of intimidation. I'm your host, Afiel Levi Israel. Hope y'all doing all right. Hope y'all doing all right. This is an Afro-Hebraic news and biblical-based commentary podcast dedicated to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans all across the world. So with that being said, let's get into the top 10 news for each area. First, we're going to start off with the United States, and we'll work our way around the world, all right? Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is good, and we're going to get started. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear clear with no issues. Okay, everybody can hear clear with no issues? Everybody good? We can hear clear with no issues. Okay, we got ones in the building. All praises. All right, so our first news is going to be in the United States. Number 1, we're going to deal with Federal Black Maternal Health Act momentum. So, bipartisan efforts advance legislative funding aimed at lowering maternal mortality rates among Black women through expanded postpartum medical coverage and implicit bias training for medical staff. Now, why is this important? This is important because both mother and child have been receiving significant bias in our communities all across the United States. Do y'all remember the story that came out on the news, and it was very prolific, where a European American was caught red-handed, unaliving babies, breaking bones, doing all type of crazy weird stuff. Y'all remember that? So because of these things, the Federal Black Momentum Health Act is a very good thing to help deal with these type of concerns. Okay, thank you for joining the fan club. If you haven't followed this account and you're new to this profile, make sure you follow this account and heart me to join the club. All right, Fifi put yes, all praises to the Most High. Number 2, Supreme Court rulings on voting rights and districting. Ongoing legal challenges surrounding state-level redistricting maps continue to shape Black voting strength and political representation across key congressional districts. Now, how do we understand this as people in the Afro-Hebraic community? We understand that based on the scriptures, we only vote for those that have our best interests at heart, of our own people. Now we see there's a system where there's bias in regards to voting, just like they did back in the 50s, 40s, 30s, hindering our people. So as it is written in Lamentations chapter 4, verse 17, where it says, our eyes as yet waited for our vain help, and our watching we have watched for a nation that cannot save us. Regardless of what the United States decides to do regarding voting, we know that they don't have our best interests. So whether red or blue, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. You make sure you stand up for your people, every man, woman, and child. I hope everybody understands that. All right, let's move on. Number 3. Remember, we're covering the top 10 news impacting our communities globally. Number 3, corporate DEI program restructuring. Major United States corporations modify diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in response to legal challenges and shifting executive strategies, raising debate among civil rights advocacy groups. Okay. Number 4, historical reparations commissions delivery reports. Municipal and state level task forces, including those in California and Evanston, Illinois, released key findings proposing targeted housing grants, business loans, and structural investments. So, if you are in the California area or near Evanston, Illinois, reach out to find out more information about targeting housing grants, business loans, and structural investments that'll help your communities. Okay. Number 5, HBCU, federal and state funding parity initiatives. Historically, black colleges and universities, also known as HBCUs, pressed for historical underfunding adjustments following federal land grant evaluations and increased research grants. So, this tells us that we have a stratagem of people groups trying to hinder us from developing. When it comes to education in America, when it comes to knowledge in America, we know we lived in a society where schooling used to be free, both elementary all the way to the collegiate level. It wasn't until our people started getting more and more into these professions that require college degrees and university degrees that they started to increase the funding regarding our people having access to these things. So with underfunding adjustments happening on a federal level, it's important for them to evaluate and make sure that our sons, our daughters, our nieces, our nephews, and the future generations to come don't get hindered in education. Consider how we lived in a society that forbade our ancestors from having access to being able to read and write. Yeah, remember that? So, with that being said, we have to make sure that we invest in our children because children are an inheritance of the Lord. We want wise descendants. We don't want kids that are stupid. Have them learn trades, have them also learn different things in the educational realm that'll benefit our people. All right. Number 6, this is an important one that I always recommend as well. Black farmer land grants and debt relief implementation. Agricultural agencies distribute long awaited relief packages designed to support black farmers facing decades of documented systematic lending disparities. So, now, what is that telling us in a nutshell? Other communities have access to land grants, right? They was just giving out land to non-black folks. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They was just giving out land. And now we see, based on the news stories that have been coming out about black farmers that were negatively impacted by them folks, we see that there's now efforts being made to allow more land to be purchased by people in our communities, which is a plus. I always recommend our people, even if you don't have land, grow your own stuff, make your own stuff, and don't rely on other people. I'll give you an example. On this. My wife, for example, right? When she goes to the store, she'll purchase coconuts and she'll shave it down. She'll boil the coconuts and then she'll get the oil from it and make her own natural based oil. Okay. She'll make her own natural based oil. So instead of going to buy coconut oil for $3.99, $9.99, $12.99 in some instances, if you learn how to make your own oil, guess what? It lasts longer too. Because then you prize what you make for yourself. You understand? Okay. All right. So if you even if you're not a farmer, always learn how you can invest in yourself and help your people. Okay. A lot of these newer age products that we have going on right now have glycerin in it. And if you remember the last discussion we had online, where we had a video talking about how glycerin is in a lot of major food and healthcare products. Y'all remember that conversation? If you didn't know, glycerin and gel, like gelatin, is pork. It's pork. Correct. There we go. So once you're aware that they insert these pork-based products in your shampoos, in your lotions, in your toothpaste, right, trying to keep you defiled, then you say, "Hey, I'm going to go out of my way to make sure and ensure that the level of poisoning that we get from the FDA and all these other corporations, right, of the government, that they don't impact this as significantly." So make your own oils, y'all. Make your own soaps. You could do it. If our ancestors were innovative back then, I know for a fact you can do it. I know folks out here that know how to make candles naturally, right? They know how to make soaps. They know how to make toothpaste naturally. So invest in researching in these do-it-yourself products. That way you diminish your the level of poisoning that they place with all the pork-based products. Okay. All right. Number 7 in the United States. National Black business ownership hits milestone growth. New economic data highlights record numbers of Black owned small startup businesses, driven by expanded access to venture capital and community developed financial institutions. So, it's really important for us to make sure that we find these CDFIs, community developed financial institutions, with over 500,000 federal workers and employees that have lost their jobs in the Black community. There are more of our people that are investing in business ownership. And that's the way to go, y'all. You want to be able to have y'all remember when I told y'all before about gathering your funds and leaving from America? The best way for you to do that is to start something where you can have an international based business, something where you can reach different people in our communities globally, whether it's online, whether it's through I'm not going to give the secret sauce. I'm going to just give y'all that and just put it out there. If you catch what I'm saying, y'all catch what I'm saying, because I know there's other nationalities watching us, and I ain't trying to put all the cards on the table, but y'all get the point. All right, so now number 8. Let's talk about Afro identity gains expanded census and workplace recognition. Okay. Advocacy groups expand nationwide campaigns for disaggregated demographic data to ensure precise resource allocation for Afro-Latino population. So we know for a fact that our community, right? Thank you for tearing up. Thank you for leveling up on our tears. Okay. We got a guest that wants to come up. Okay, that's odd. We're covering news and information, and a guest wants to come up here. Sealed by Abba. Okay. Okay, this person is a friend on the platform. Hold on. Up here. Sealed by Abba. Okay. Okay, this person is a friend on the platform. Hold on. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Shalom. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm blessed. It was what you were talking about when you were mentioning the land aspect, and I'm not trying to necessarily like quote unquote pitch myself because it's a nation thing. HebrewMetals.org is where we are coming together to start to rotate the funds of like the dollar amount to purchasing lands and starting to build wells and eventually those lands will also, if they need to hold schools, they will, but they're going to be community based. So that way we can start to separate and kind of do what we're supposed to do as a nation. And it's not about the amount because, like in the reference of the woman with the three mitres, it's about just the fact that we are supporting and building as a nation. So we focus on nation building. We've put out we support and advertise nation building businesses as well. And so everything is focused on my apologies. Hey,
Do you have a website or a email where people can address what you're presenting and have a way to contact you to speak on that matter?
correct. So if you go to HebrewMetals.org, if you go
.org.
there,
Okay.
there's two different gates. There's ones for the tributaries or the nations, and then there's the ones for the nation. And so when you go in, you basically fill out your information, and the application goes through a approval process because we want to make sure that people are entering in by their gates, and that's also allowing the tributaries to be able to support the nation. So we also focus, our biggest thing is focusing on orphans, widows, and fatherless because people don't understand the detriment of how impactful that is as far as because when you don't have a father, you are detached from the identity. And so when we focus a lot on those three areas, and then we also make sure that we rotate the funds from dollar amount into precious metals. So we're very, very focused on nation building, and everything's open to, when I say open to the nations, like any questions that they have in regards to what we're doing, because we're not here to like it's not some closed book, like you can't ask questions because when we
Gotcha.
go to purchase lands, they have access to these lands. And we also are storing up grains and waters in regards of our nation. So for every household that's
Is this
registered,
United States based or is it something that you're doing globally?
it's gonna be a global thing because I'll be honest, from what I'm being led, I don't even know if I'm actually gonna be in the U.S. Though I will be coming back and forth just simply because that just the way that Abba's leading me. So I know for a fact that it's not just going to be U.S. based. I'm actually looking into the land at outside of America. So
All praises to the Most High, and I pray the Most High lead you in your endeavors and that it's successful. All right, so drop your
no,
email in the chat
absolutely.
for brothers or sisters to send you an email. And also, if you, those of you that are in the audience, make sure that you reach out to the brother and gain access to the website so that way he can give you more information,
Ah,
okay?
this is Nakir.
Oh, it's Nakur. You got so many different usernames on here, sis. I'm sorry. I apologize. You got so many
You're
different usernames on here. Like do you got another profile called it's like a Japanese kind of name or something like that?
nah, man.
No,
Nah, it's
is
just
this your
I
only main
got it's
account that you use or?
no, no, I got my original one, but they BA ended, so I
Yeah,
can't go live on it anymore. But I have my original
okay,
one that's like Nakir, and then it has
that's what it
HebrewMetals.org.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I apologize, sis. I
No, you're good.
apologize.
You're good. We haven't voice spoken in a while. We've messaged, but no. And y'all who are listening, I know y'all know, but I'm telling y'all make sure y'all share my brother's page. I've known him for like over 3 years since I came into this walk, and he's very, very knowledgeable. But it's not just the knowledge; it's the fruits of the spirit. Because everybody's got knowledge, but if you getting off of the wrong tree, it doesn't matter. My brother's always had very good fruits. He's always been very humble, very respectful, and he's always been well to defend sisters who don't have brothers who can protect and cover them and speak for them in regards of if we're being done wrong. So he's a very righteous brother. So y'all make sure y'all follow and support my brother in his household. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak out.
All praises to the Most High. All praises. Thank you for your listenership and thank you for your participation. All right, we're going to drop her down and we're going to go ahead and continue with the news stories for today. It's always great when we see fellowship and brotherhood and unity. All praises. All right, so number nine in our news for the United States covers the police accountability and community safety reforms. Local municipalities roll out an alternative emergency response model using mental health professionals, serving as pilot programs for reducing fatal encounters with law enforcement. Now, why is that important? It's very important when we have these social calls and wellness checkups that we have civilians intervene in reaching out to our brothers and sisters that have dealt with a lot of psychological trauma and issues. Instead of having law enforcement get involved with a badge and a pew pew, it's more likely for them to have a positive outcome if they have a civilian to reach out to them, a medical professional, someone that's familiar with psychological issues or any sociological issues that a person may face, dealing with a lot of news stories that we've come across on the years. This type of initiative is at least beneficial for us. I recall a story that happened a few years back, and in this story, there was a young so-called African American that was impacted negatively by law enforcement intervention. He was being, I think this was in Florida, if I could recall. He suffered from being on the spectrum, autism, and his medical professional was there trying to help. And unfortunately, law enforcement got involved. They told the man to lay on the ground, and the medical professional was the one that got popped. You understand? And the man literally asked him, "Hey, why did you shoot me?" And the police officer said, "I don't know." And all of that was caught on camera. I don't know if y'all remember that story. If you don't, look it up online. Okay? Very important stories. All right, number 10. National Museum of Heritage, Cultural Heritage Preservation Projects. Federal and local grant funding expands historical preservation projects honoring civil rights landmarks, Gullah Geechee, cultural corridors, and Black historical sites. Very important information here that we're covering on the Forefront Radio. If you're new to this podcast, make sure you follow this account, Forefront Radio. We're going to play some music and we'll tune back in to the new top 10 news all across the planet. Stay tuned.
Little story about that man named Christ. When he come unto the earth, you know it's the end night. Tell you a little story about that man named Christ. Skin so dark like it burned in the fire. Levi, Israel. Thy word, have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee? Oh Lord, thy word, have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee?
Do me a favor, tap the screen, get the like, sub, share the room with at least 10 people.
Live with your wife, live for the kids. Stay away from sin. I saw the devil, and he was red. His name was Esau. Do me, yeah. They be the Romans, they be the Greeks, they be the spawn of Satan. Devil see, they got the whole world blind. But now I see, they pushing drugs to my people like it's sorcery. And my people smoke the weed called Christianity. And they can't bleed, cause they can't believe that Jesus was really blacker than coal. Man, this just a story untold.
Tell you a little story about that man named Christ. When he come unto the earth, you know it's the end night. Tell you a little story about that man named Christ. Skin so dark like it burned in the fire.
All right. So that song is called He That Steals. It's the military hardcore version. You can find it on our SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/The Forefront. Make sure y'all tune in, enjoy the music from an Afro-Hebraic perspective. Now let's go ahead and touch on the news impacting our people in Canada. Yes, there's Black people in Canada. Yes, there are Black people in Canada. So we'll touch on the top 10 news dealing with Blacks in Canada. Number one, Canada's 10-year Black Justice Strategy Action Plan. The Canadian government moves forward with the implementation of the National Black Justice Strategy, addressing overrepresentation of Black Canadians in federal corrections throughout 114 recommended reform measures. Now, this is how we know that the prophecies of the Bible dealing with mass incarceration, dealing with our people being imprisoned, actually relate to us as a nation of people, because both the United States and Canada have been instrumental in degrading our people and placing them in prison. For that, let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 42, verse 22. Let me show you the prophecy here. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22. And it reads, "For this is a people not an individual, for this is a people robbed and spoiled, meaning robbed of our identity, robbed of our culture, robbed of our way of life, of knowing who we are. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. What does the Bible say? Hid prison houses, y'all. So this is telling us that the prophecy and prediction of the Israelites being placed in prison houses came true. It's only our particular demographic, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indigenous populations, that are negatively impacted by mass incarceration. They are for a prey and none delivers, for a spoil and none says restore. Now watch this. Even part of the gospel, y'all, is to help us understand that the people suffering from mass incarceration need a savior. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1. Isaiah 61, verse 1. Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted and to proclaim liberty to the captives," meaning freedom for the slaves, "and the opening of the prison to them that are bound." Y'all, there's no way around that. The opening of the prison to them that are suffering from mass incarceration? Wow. That means you are the lost tribes of Jacob suffering from mass incarceration, which means you're the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. So part of the salvation efforts of the Creator is to spread awareness to our people and wake them up to the realization of who they are. So I hope it makes sense. I hope you're getting it. These different referendums that they're doing to assist our people gives us the signs to indicate who the lost sheep of Jacob are today. All right, let's get back to the news. Canada, number 2, federal black entrepreneurship program expansion. Additional funding flows into the Black Entrepreneurship Program, BEP, to provide micro grants and incubator mentorship for Black-led startups across Toronto, across Montreal, Canada, and Halifax. If you or someone you know resides in these 3 areas, make sure you encourage them. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate you. Make sure you encourage them to invest themselves in entrepreneurship, y'all. Okay, jobs is not the way to go. The way this economy is running right now, all across the planet, your best bet would be to start a business, pray to the Most High, fast, ask Him to remove any generational curses, and make moves. I also myself, I'm trying to venture off out of the program mindset of saying, let me get a job. I need to get a job doing this. I need to get a job, and move towards entrepreneurship, business ownership. That's the way to go, y'all. All right, number 3, National Housing Strategy targets urban disparities. Community organization lobby for designated affordable housing funds to counter, listen close, disproportionate housing insecurity among Black and newcomer families in major metropolitan hubs. Now, thank you for the gifts, y'all. Why is this important? We know based on the prophecies in the scriptures that the Bible says you would build a house and another would live in it. You would marry a wife and another would lie with her. You would work in vineyards and not gather the grapes thereof for yourself. This shows us that there's a prophetic fulfillment in our particular people, even in Canada, that are negatively impacted in the housing sector. So now, affordable housing is being made more affordable, more available to us. So it's important to tell our people that's in the regions of Canada to make sure they access these things before it's gone. Some of these programs that they set up end up having a limited time frame of funding. So usually these things always come on a first come, first served basis. So if you're in Canada, in that region, make sure you reach out to the local government and research, okay? All right. Number 4. Number 4 in Canada, implementation of the United Nations Decade for People of African Descent Commitments, aka Israelites. Canadian civil society organizations hold federal agencies accountable. We need more accountability, y'all, to equity targets established during the International Decade for People of African Descent framework. Very important information. Number 5, Black Healthcare Worker Retention Strategy. Now, how many of you are medical professionals? Put a 1 in the chat for yes, put a 2 for no. How many of you in Canada are a medical professional? You know, the Forefront Radio is international, so we got folks all over. If you're a medical professional, put a 1 in the chat. Okay. If you ever so plan to go to Canada, they're having a retention program. So that means folks that are in Canada can get more access to more funding because they want to keep these black folks employed. Okay. Maybe something's going on where they're not retaining all these medical professionals. Provincial health authorities institute targeted recruitment and anti-racism training programs to address burnout and systemic barriers among black medical professionals. So this goes into technicians, this goes into medical assistants, this goes into doctors. We know a lot of our people are interested in healthcare. We are a very caring people, and we love the well-being of our people as well as others. So invest your time in research. If you or a family member is involved in the medical community, make sure you reach out over there and help them to get access to some of these things that are available. Number 6, Nova Scotia Historical Land Title Reconciliation. Efforts accelerate to clear land title backlogs for historic African Nova Scotian communities, securing clear home ownership rights passed down through generations. Now, why is this important? Most of our people forget that the area of Nova Scotia used to be a slave port. And black folks that owned land and property, they were taken off of their land and forced to work in plantation systems of others. Now we must have the mindset of the Uno reverse. We lost our blessings of an inheritance of land. Now it's time for you to take it back. So if you're in the Nova Scotia area, reach out to the government structures, ask about access to home ownership rights and all of these things, okay? Pardon me. Number 7, Francophone Black Immigrant Integration Initiatives. New federal and provincial funding streams support French-speaking African and Caribbean newcomers settling in Ontario and Quebec. We know that these regions were occupied by the French, and a lot of blacks from Haiti, from Guadeloupe, from French Guyana, from Martinique and other French departments that are in the Caribbean islands. You can now go and have access to these initiative programs that are available in Ontario and Quebec. Number 8, anti-black racism training mandated in the school curricula. Now, this is a big one, y'all. This is a big one because it's talking about now education. Multiple provincial school boards update history curricula to highlight Black Canadian historical contributions and incorporate systems of anti-racism modules. Now, why is this important? It's important because while the United States is repealing what's called critical race theory and education about Black history, Canada is actually starting to help set up modules of education systems where Black folks learn about Canadian history dealing with our people. Now, put a 1 in the chat for yes. If you have almost like limited information on Blacks in Canada, I know I do. I know, like, since Black History Month started for me growing up in the United States, I've rarely heard any information about Black folks in Canada. That's odd, right? That's odd. We learn about the various accomplishments, inventions, various things that our people have done in the United States, but not a peep about Canada, as if there's no Black folks in Canada. There's a lot of Black folks in Canada, y'all. A lot. Some from the Caribbean islands, some from France, some from America, Remember, the United States and Canada border each other. So, how many blacks during the Great Migration left from the United States, traveled through Detroit, or traveled through New York, or traveled through Illinois and all those areas to get to Canada? It's a lot of people, y'all, a lot of people. So, knowing our history in the diaspora is very important. Number 9 in Canada, Black Wealth and Equity Financial Summits gain national traction. Economic forums in Toronto and Vancouver unite Black institution leaders, venture capitalists, and civic groups to build long-term generational wealth channels. And number 10 for Canada, preservation of historic Black communities. Grants are allocated to protect cultural heritage sites, including Hogan's Alley in Vancouver and Africville Memorial programs in Nova Scotia. So, if you're a big history buff, I recommend investing in this thing right here. You want to make sure that our communities are preserved all throughout the areas of Canada. All right, thank you for listening. That's for Canada. We're going to play another song, and then we will continue with our discussion on the top 10 news impacting our community globally. Stay tuned.
Voices in the nighttime calling to my spirit, whispers of the truth in the echoes, I can hear it. Dreams of a kingdom where the broken finally rise, waking up the scattered hearts, fire in their eyes.
Shadows in the pulpit, silver on that tongue, selling hollow halos to the old and to the young, quoting every scripture while they hide what they do, build a golden tower out of ties that they drew. I was in the back row watching how they move, smiles on the surface but the greed in every groove, promises of heaven while they poison every well, turning stained glass windows to another kind of cell. We bout to heal it, we bout to heal it, tear down the lies they built around us, built around us. Said that love was just a weapon, but we found us. Said our story didn't matter, but they crowned us. Every tribe and every language, we rise and stand up. Let us to the false ones, yeah, their time is answered. Every chain is getting shattered in this anthem. Children of the promise, taking back this planet. Light in the midnight, calling every soul back. Echoes in the skyline, faith is on a new track. Some will never listen, some will never turn back, but we're searching for the remnant on the narrow path. Walk through the ruins of the hearts they left behind, empty-eyed believers with a famine in their minds. Preachers wearing crowns made of fear and of shame, trading souls for comfort while they trust the holy name. I was just a daughter with a question in my chest.
All right, let's go ahead and continue. That song is called Ethereal Day of Finality. It is on our SoundCloud page. Once again, the song is called Ethereal Day of Finality. Find it on SoundCloud.com. All right, let's continue now in our top 10 news impacting our community. We're now touching on the Caribbean islands. We're touching on Central America, and we're touching on South America. One moment, please. Let's go ahead and touch on the top 10 news in Canada. In the Caribbean islands, Central America, and South America. Number 1, CARICOM reparations strategy and advances globally. Hold on a second, y'all. 1 second, y'all.
All of the wounds that they were masking, we the masking. All the heavy burdens they were passing, they collapsing. Every hidden secret, yeah, we casting. Lights are flashing, voices of the meek are getting louder, everlasting. Children of the promise, we advancing, never slacking. From the ashes of the damage, we are standing. nation, the hell that starts breaking. They try to write our story in their own ink, but the ink is running dry. Let the truth sink from the corners of the earth. We're singing higher through the smoke and the grief and the fire. The mind of the slave is finished, we remember. We are more than what they pictured forever.
All right, let's go ahead and continue with our conversation here on the Forefront Radio. If you're new to this account, make sure you follow this account. The Forefront Radio is a diaspora news and biblical-based commentary platform. We teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that you are the lost tribes of Israel according to the Bible, according to history, and according to prophecy. So let's continue with our news discussion for today. We're touching on the Caribbean islands. So let's reiterate what we were saying here. CARICOM, number one, CARICOM reparation strategy advances globally. Caribbean leaders strengthen regional diplomatic alliances to press European nations for formal diplomatic engagements and financial reparatory justice for transatlantic war. Now, I don't like to call it transatlantic trade because people make it seem as though they're trading beans for carrots. It was a war that happened against our people, and we must acknowledge it as such. Okay. Number two, Colombia's Afro-descended land titling acceleration. Under Vice President Francia Marquez, Colombia expands collective land titles and development funding for ancestors of the Afro-Colombian communities along the Pacific coast. Most of our people don't know that our people were scattered into all nations, as the Bible says in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. Read it if you've never read it. Matter of fact, I'll read it because I know some of y'all don't read. So I'll read it right now so that way you can know that there are black people in the regions of Colombia. So when we say Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans or the Israelites scattered across the globe, we can prove it with the scriptures. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64, it says, "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even to the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." Since a lot of our people are not familiar with areas where there's high populations of blacks and Latinos, I always recommend visiting places like Miami, places like New York, places like California, LA, where you get access to seeing different people groups of our community that's not just, centralized in just the Black American South or the Midwest and stuff, or the West, or the East rather. A lot of times our people don't know that there's black folks that are all over the place. I remember one time when I was in my early 20s, I came across a lady named, what was her name again? I think it was Sandra or Sandy, something with an S. And I met her. I was like, "Hey, you a nice lady. Where are you from?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm from Colombia." I said, "What?" I said, "You speak Spanish? Like, you look like one of my cousins or somebody I know from, She was like, "Yeah, I'm Colombian." I was like, "Oh, wow." So it's very important to expand our network of knowing different people and different cultures of our people scattered all over the planet. And we just proved out of the Bible that says that the Israelites will be scattered into all nations. That proves black history in the Bible. All right. Number three, Brazil expands affirmative action in public services and university. The Brazilian government updates racial quota legislation to widen civil service and university entry access for pretos and pardos, which means black and mixed race citizens. So this is a step in the right direction, especially when we see affirmative action and various other things like that are being repealed in America. Well, Brazil is getting their act together. Brazil is saying, look, we're not going to follow the same stratagem of the United States. We're actually going to assist those in the Afro-Hebraic community to have access to these university programs. Number four, Haitian diaspora and regional security stabilization. Caribbean and international coalitions work to restore governance, economic aid, and safety measures in Haiti, with regional diaspora leaders shaping humanitarian strategy. Now, this is important because we need to get the United States government and military contractors out of Haiti. There's news stories going on since March of 2026 where we found out that over 1,200 people were negatively impacted by drone strikes, including children. So we know for a fact that these folks from the United States in the military sector don't have our best interests at heart. So it's important for us to reach out to our people in the diaspora and help them, give them access to ways, whether funding, whether support, whether prayers, to make sure we push out the negative influence of those that don't have our best interests at heart. Number 5, Afro-Ecuadorian rights advocates mobilize against rural poverty. Indigenous and Afro-Ecuadorian community coalitions press for equitable infrastructure, spending, environmental protection, and agrarian reform. Number 6, Dominican Republic peasant and migrant coalitions mobilize. Afro-descendant women's organizations and migrant rights collectives joined forces to address rural health care access, labor rights, and Haitian Dominican social solidarity. Now, we know based on the influence of the prophecies that both Levi and Simeon, aka Haiti and Dominican Republic, have always been at odds with each other. But if we inform our people about who they are and show the shared unity of our people to fight against oppression from both Spain and from France, we can gather more social solidarity in a community that has already been impacted negatively from centuries of oppression, all the way since the 1400s, all the way till today. The division from Haitian and Dominicans need to stop. And you have to be the ones to implement that. Be the agent of change that you so desire. Okay? Number 7, United Nations Second International Decade for People of African Descent Framework from 2025 to 2034. Regional bodies launch continental initiatives targeting the digital divide, wealth concentration, and political inclusion for Afro-descendants across Latin America. Number 8, Afro-Mexican constitutional recognition and resource allocation. Now, this is important here. A lot of times when we talk about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, people get confused. They say stuff like, there ain't no black folks in Mexico. Why are you trying to say that Mexicans are Israelites? You know why people are so brainwashed? The same way we are brainwashed in American communities to watch mostly a particular demographic being shared as the only demographic on news media, on movies, on magazines, on television, it's the same thing in Latin America. When you watch shows like Telemundo, various other news things, novellas, they only depict a certain demographic to the point where most people are confused as if there's no black folks there. The Seminole Indians, called Seminoles Negros, moved down into the regions of Mexico so long ago to the point where they speak Spanish now, and you got blacks that are part of the FBA movement telling them that you're not the original Americans here, get out of our country. It's intellectual dishonesty, y'all. For black folks that live in the United States to tell black folks in Mexico, we ain't the same people, makes no damn sense whatsoever when those black Seminoles was in the United States, in Texas, in Oklahoma, and then they moved further south into Mexico. So, following a landmark constitutional updates, Afro-Mexican municipalities advocate for direct budget allocations for healthcare, roads, and native language preservation. Very good investment for our people that's there. Number 9, Afro-Caribbean tourism and sustainable economic networks. Now, this is important. We know that there's a domination of non-melanated people to have access to tourism in the Caribbean island networks, right? It's important for black folks to take over those sectors and gain economic development and more financial resources and extract it away from these folks that's doing Carnival cruise lines and various other hotels that they have on the coast of black countries. When you look online and you type, what's the major demographic in the Caribbean islands, you find out it's Afro-Caribbean folks that's the major demographic. But when you go to places places like Jamaica, Bahamas, the owners of the resorts, the owners of the hotels, the owners of the cruise liners are all folks that don't look like us. We remember a couple of news stories that happened a few years back where black folks was dancing and partying at Carnival Cruise Line, and they was acting a donkey, they was acting a fool, and Carnival Cruise Line was like, no, we're going to put up some new rules to restrict some of y'all black folks from having access. So guess what? Why don't you run your own cruise liner? Why don't you have your own airports? Why don't you have your own airliners, y'all? We have the skill set, y'all. If our ancestors in the 1920s back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, can have their own airport, what hinders you from teaching young men to fly a plane? What hinders you from teaching young men to be sailors and captains of ships? Nothing's hindering you but your mindset. Nothing's hindering you but your mindset. And then also the financial capital. And then also the restrictions from the United States government hindering you. There are some drawbacks. We got to use intelligence to this thing. But if you're able to access these things, it's very important. Now, regional trade initiatives promote community-based Afro-heritage tourism across Jamaica, Barbados, and Central America's Garifuna coastline. Remember, we had a discussion last year or the beginning of this year where we talked about how the Afro-Hebraic community, specifically black natives, don't get the recognition as West Indians to be the lost tribes of Jacob. The Garifuna is a community that many of our people don't know about. The Kalinago, also called Carib Indians, the Taino, the Arawak, right? The Maya people that live in Belize, they are not extinguished, y'all. They didn't all unalive when Christopher Columbus, Hernan Cortez, and all these invaders came in. Our people still exist. The so-called West Indians still exist. All right. So now, let's continue with our last note for number 10 for the Caribbean Latin America sector. Garifuna land rights enforcement in Central America. Human rights groups urge Central American courts to enforce land rights rulings protecting Garifuna coastal territories in Honduras, that's the area they live in, and Guatemala, that's another area we live in, against unlawful commercial expansion. Meaning what? Mr. Dwight running over there on all the coastline area, trying to grab rights to the coastline, so when people come in, they could charge them right at the door. You understand? Do you get it? So very important, y'all, for us to see this thing and help our people in that region to hold their rights of the land that belongs to them in the coastal regions. Do y'all get it? Put a 1 in the chat if everybody understands. Put a 2 if you're confused. And matter of fact, we're at 39K, y'all. Do me a huge favor, tap the screen and get the likes up. I want to give my appreciation to everyone that supports this ministry and supports our news efforts to teach our community and uplift our community. I appreciate y'all, whether donations of support, whether Cash Apps, whether PayPals, whether folks that just want to pray and say, hey, Forefront, I like what you're doing. I like your sincerity. You know, we appreciate all of you that come in time after time, week after week, day after day on this podcast called The Forefront Radio. Okay. Thank you for your support and thank you for your listenership. Now let's fast track across the pond, across the Ethiopic Ocean, also known as the Atlantic Ocean, right? Lost city of Atlantis, Ethiopia, Africa. So we're going to go to Europe and we're going to talk about news impacting our communities in Europe. Number 1, European Union Anti-Racism Action Plan Implementation Review. Civil rights coalitions evaluate the European Union member states on their enforcement of systemic anti-discrimination frameworks in housing, law enforcement, and hiring. Now, why is that important? We know for a fact that many of these nations like Britain, Spain, Portugal, France, right, they didn't vote when it came to the United Nations resolution voting that captivity of our ancestors was the greatest human rights atrocity. They refused to vote. So now I'm very suspicious when I see that there are efforts being made to have anti-discriminatory factors in housing, law enforcement, and hiring, but folks do not want to capitulate. Folks want to hold on to their antagonistic spirit, and the Bible forewarned us. When you read the scriptures, it forewarned us how Esau had a perpetual, let's say, vitriol towards our particular demographic because they know that you're the chosen ones. Even Christ himself said, "You would be hated of all nations for my name's sake." So while we pray for these folks to change their mindset, we know they're not going to change. So it's important for you to stand up for your people, okay? When it comes to housing, work together. A lot of folks work on an individual mindset, and it's not good to do that. Buy housing properties together so that way you could push them folks out and keep ourselves in. Watch this. When it comes to law enforcement, why do we not have our own police departments? In the UK, that's strictly our demographic. In France, that's strictly our demographic. In Ireland, do you remember what happened recently on the news? In Ireland, I believe it was either Belfast or Dublin, and they were burning down Afro-Hebraic communities, their housing, right? Also, you had a news story that we covered where a black man from the Congo that's been living in that region for 30 years was unalived by 8 security guards. So we must make international changes. Okay, thank you. Northern Ireland and Belfast, UK. Thank you so much. Okay, we must listen. If one of us is oppressed, none of us are free. I want y'all to remember that. Okay, I want you to remember that all across the planet. If one of us is oppressed, none of us are free. So we have to do our efforts to reach out to our brothers that are across the waters in the UK, in the EU, right, in Ireland, and make sure we help them. Okay. Number 2, United Kingdom police accountability and stop and search reforms. So the same way you had stop and frisk in New York, same thing going on in the UK. They're stopping little teenagers and saying, "What you doing here, boy? What you doing over here?" with a British accent. You know what I'm saying? Community advocacy groups in London and Birmingham demand structural police oversight following data showing persistent racial disparities in search procedures. So now, I don't know what kind of laws they have over there, but I know in the United States, they have the Fourth Amendment, which restricts law enforcement from illegal search and seizure. Now, we know for a fact that they're not following that because they had stop and frisk. They had these adages that we have, right? Driving while black, walking while black, drinking coffee while black. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, put a Y in the chat for yes if you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever experienced going into a store and somebody just looking at you, or somebody just following you, or somebody blinking while black, there you go. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. So, should we hold the United Kingdom police accountable? Yes. Yes, because it's young men and young women that are being strategically mistreated based on their demographic. Stand up in their face and cuss them the hell out and tell them, stop disrespecting our children and our men. Okay? All right. Number 3, France's public debate on disaggregated demographic data. Policy experts and black advocacy groups debate modifying data collection laws to measure and combat anti-black discrimination effectively. Now, this is important even with the release of AI and these various data centers that's being pulled up. AI is being utilized to racially profile our people and discriminate our people in the housing sector, in job opportunities, and economic advantages that we used to have access to, right? Oh, do me a favor, y'all. If you haven't put a gift on the live, make sure y'all do so. It seems TikTok is very adamant about the programs that we have on here. So if you're not like tapping the screen, if you're not doing the gifts and stuff like that, they'll be like, all right, it's time to close your live. So I just got a notification of that I had to verify, even though you can see my face on here. So I'll post something on the bottom if you want to contribute to our Fs through gifting, or if you want to donate to us via Cash App or PayPal, do so at the link on our bio section. Go to the bio section and then click on the X button after you go into the link, and make sure you donate. Okay. All right. So cool. That should keep them at bay. Thank you for the gift contribution. We already hit 10 max for the let them cook. So that should make them stop messing with my live. Okay. Because TikTok, if they got a verification thing, if you don't finish verifying within 5 minutes, they just end your live. Okay. All right. So let's continue with our discussion over in Europe. Number 4, Pan-European and Afro-European political representation rises. A record number of black parliamentarians across Germany, the Netherlands, and the European Parliament coordinate legislation on migration equity and social justice. Now, this is very significant, y'all. This is very important because we don't want to see the news stories of blacks trying to travel from North Africa across the Mediterranean and end up being placed on boats back to North Africa and then being mistreated by these Arabs. I'm gonna tell you straight, y'all. These Ishmaelite Arabs that conquered and colonized North Africa, they're working together with Europeans to prevent black folks from traveling across. And what are they doing? They're putting them in internment systems, detention centers. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And then they're using these human resources and saying, we're going to trade this human resource to work for this person for $200, $300, $400. It's still going on to this day, y'all. If you get what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. Correct. They're doing wickedness. Okay. I'm trying to use social political correct terms, because I can't just outright be like, they putting our people in slavery. If I say that, then they'd be like, oh, this violates our community standards of talking about what's going on. You know how they are. Censorship is real. All right. Number 5, decolonization and museum repatriation across Europe. Institutions in Britain, Germany, France, and Belgium expand efforts to return looted, aka stolen, African artifacts to their countries of origin. Y'all remember the Black Panther movie? Put a 1 in the chat for yes. Do y'all remember the Black Panther movie? Who has seen the Black Panther movie? Who has seen the Black Panther movie? The first one, not the second and the other. I think there's like a second and a third one coming out. I don't know. Okay, we got one. Okay, cool. In the Black Panther movie, there's a scene where the antagonist, who I liked actually, who was played by what's the brother name? I forgot his name. Y'all help me out. What's the brother name again? He was the bad guy, but I think he was the good guy in my opinion. What was his name? He said, I got to fight for my people. He came from America. He was coming. Michael B. Jordan. Thank you. Michael B. Jordan. So Michael B. Jordan played Killmonger in that movie, right? And there was a scene at the very beginning of the movie where he walks into a museum. And Michael B. Jordan says to the European lady that's there, she's like, oh, these are Benin bronzes from such and such and such and such. And he was like, nah, this from Wakanda. And he was like, look, I'm going to take this off your hands. And she was like, what do you mean you're going to take this off our hands? What do you mean? Our ancestors acquired. And he said, in a nutshell, I'm going to paraphrase it. How the hell you think you got this stuff? You think you voted for this stuff? You think, like he told her straight to her face. And I like that stuff. That stuff right there. It was like, oh yeah, that's some good script right there. That's a good script right there. One of the coldest lines ever. So I mention that because in this news story, it talks about decolonization and museums giving back some of the artifacts that they stole. All right. Good conversation. Number 6, migrant labor protection legislation in Southern Europe. Rights organizations push for legal protections and workplace standards for African agricultural workers operating in Italy, Spain, and Portugal. Now, why is this important? This is important because if you're familiar with history from the 1300s, 1400s, 1500s, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, under the Catholic Church, authorized the transatlantic war against our ancestors. It's the same area, it's the same region, if you recall, that literally passed laws to get our particular demographic to work in the agricultural sector, aka plantations. So we see right now that the so-called African agricultural workers need legal protection and workplace safety standards because they're working them in that hot European sun with no assistance. And especially for the fact that there was a recent heat wave in Europe, it's important for us to recognize what's going on in the Afro-Hebraic community in those areas. Number seven, Black British Cultural Preservation and Heritage Grants. National lottery funds and government arts councils allocate major grants to archive and celebrate the Windrush generation and the post-war diaspora legacies. Now, this is important because we know for a fact that after World War II, Europe utilized Africa to rebuild themselves. Remember, after World War II, America was on top, but Europe looked like a developing nation, right? They look like what Palestine looks like right now, if you understand what I'm saying. They was all messed up, blown the hell and back. So in order for them to set themselves back up and rebuild, they strategically used their colonial tactics to extract from Africa, keep Africa poor, to develop and make Europe rich. Okay? So now, Uno reverse card. We want to make sure that we have the efforts to teach our people how to aggregate resources back to our people. Just in the same way, Egypt, when they oppressed our people for 400 years, the Most High said, hey, borrow from the Egyptians silver and gold and diamonds and clothing. And that way, the Most High would spoil the Egyptians. It's the same thing that we have to do in these last days. And don't nobody say, oh, it's unrighteous. No, it's righteous. For people to pay back what they owe, it's a righteous thing, okay? Okay. Number 8, addressing racial bias in artificial intelligence and technology systems. This is very important here. European tech regulators institute audits to detect and eliminate algorithm racial bias in hiring software, facial recognition, and banking systems. Y'all, this goes heavy into the beast and the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and nobody could buy or sell. Most people think it's just dealing with a microchip. No, it's not that. The system of lawlessness, the kingdom of iniquity, will use their technology to prohibit certain demographics from having access. And now I want y'all to keep this in mind. When it comes to how these nations deal with us, they're not going to stop and ask you, hey, are you an Israelite, by the way? Hey, are you a Muslim, by the way? Hey, are you Christian, by the way? They don't give a damn about that. They'll look at your face, they'll look at your date of birth, they'll look at your social security number, they'll look at your various social insurance numbers and say, hey, this person right here, they ain't like us. They ain't like us, so make sure we keep them from having some money. Now, this is why we have to put our trust in the Most High. Shalom to everybody joining on. We have to put our trust in the Most High to assist us and to give us the wisdom on how to navigate in these murky waters of injustice, okay? The Bible says, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Okay? Remember that. When you're going through your negative moments, when you're going through struggles, when you're dealing with bias and negative people, make sure that you turn it to the Most High and say, Father, avenge me. Father, help me. Father, assist me. You see how they doing us. Okay? If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. We connected to the source, y'all, the Most High. Remember that. You are His chosen people. So access that light. Plug yourself into the electricity of righteousness and justice. Number 9. Afro-German community alliances expand anti-racism resources. Grassroots groups across Berlin, Hamburg secure municipality municipal funding for community centers, mental health centers, and Black-led youth programs. Now, let me just mention a comment on that briefly. In my early teens and 20s, I worked as a counselor and an assistant youth director for the Young Men's Christian Association, also known as YMCA. And what I learned about that is that young children love to see young black men encouraging them. Okay, so when I worked as a counselor, some of the students would come and we would have an after school program where they're playing football. We would assist them with their homework. We would talk to them. We would counsel them. And it's very important for you as men. I'm talking to the men now. I know our women do this all the time, but you as men, invest in these mentorship programs all throughout Europe, all throughout the Americas, wherever you can volunteer and help young men and young women. Do so. Okay, something that my ex used to say that I always remember. She said, "Be the agent of change that you so desire." Okay, very important. And number 10, remittance cost reductions for European diaspora. This is very important as well, especially when there's money sent overseas. European banking authorities work with African financial technology firms to lower fees on diaspora remittances sent to Africa, especially so-called sub-Saharan Africa. Now, I want y'all to think about this. A lot of times you'll have someone that lives overseas and a financial transaction take place where they'll charge like $1.99, $2.99, $3.99, right? In some instances like Western Union is one of the most expensive remittance type of programs. I remember one time I was trying to send money overseas and Western Union was trying to charge like $10, $20 and all of that stuff. Okay, look for alternative companies where you can send money to friends, family members overseas, businesses overseas, ministries overseas, and reduce the cost. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into China and East Asia and news related to that. But before we do, we'll go ahead and play a song and then we'll tune in to the Forefront Radio. If you haven't followed this account, make sure you follow us and subscribe here on the Forefront Radio. We are also available on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other platforms. Thank you for joining the fan club.
Two paths, two men, two destinations. Which road you
Tap the screen, get the likes up.
who don't sit
with the scornful when they plotting, then they kick it.
who don't stand in the way of sinners, laughing at the law, who keeps his ear inclined to the Most High, nothing more. His delight is in the Torah, in the statutes of the King. He meditates from sundown to the sunrise. Every word becomes a weapon, every precept is a shield, every chapter is a harvest, and the spirit is the field. He ain't moved by what is trending, he ain't shaken by the crowd. He stands firm upon the covenant, his head above the clouds, like a tree
Planted by the river,
roots go deep.
and its fruit is delivered.
Every season he is bearing what he's built for. Leaf don't wither and his purpose won't be killed. Lord, the most knows path of the righteous, but the wicked gonna fall when he comes to remind us. Blessed is the man
Blessed is the man
who walks in the statutes and holds to his head. Nah, the wicked ain't like that, nah, they ain't got no root. They chaff in the wind, man, they gone when he moves. No foundation, no water, just a dry, crumbling wall. They laughed at the covenant, now they caught in the fall. They counsel one another with their wisdom and their pride. They built their thrones on vanity, they worship their own minds. But the congregation of the righteous gonna stand on that day, and the sinners won't be numbered in that holy.
All praises to the Most High. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the love. We appreciate you. We love you.
The chaff gets blown to nothing, but the righteous gonna reign.
like a tree
All right. Let's go ahead. That song is called Blessed is the Man. You can find it on the Forefront Radio on SoundCloud. Just go to soundcloud.com, type Blessed is the Man by the Forefront, and you'll be able to have that song. It's in our Outcast of Israel album. Okay, once again, it's on our. Thank you for joining the fan club. Thank you for the gift. It's on our Outcast of Israel album on SoundCloud. Make sure y'all check it out. Tune into that thing, listen to it, download it, save it, record it on your phone, whatever you got to do to make sure you have it. Shalom to you, Ashaya. Hope you're doing good. So now we're going to touch on the top 10 news impacting our community in both China and East Asia. We'll also touch on Africa, and then in closing, we'll touch on Oceania and the Pacific Islands. So first, let's touch on China and East Asia. Number 1. 2026 China-Africa Year of People to Reach exchanges launch. The African Union and Chinese leadership launch a bilateral cultural, academic, and professional exchange program. Very important for us to understand what this is. Okay, this program, it says, where was I? I'm sorry. The goal is to gain cultural, academic, and professional exchange to foster mutual social understanding. Number 2, African student and scholar initiatives at top Chinese universities. A lot of folks don't know we got a lot of black folks in China, y'all. Remember, when the Bible says we're scattered into all nations, that includes China and East Asia. So, Chinese universities expand scholarship programs for African scholars alongside calls for stronger campus inclusion and anti-discrimination policies. Okay. Number 3, labor relations and rights monitoring and joint ventures. Diplomatic channels across workplace safety and fair treatment standards for workers in Chinese-operated enterprises, both locally and across the African continent. We know that a lot of times Asians will have people work like a dog. They'll have their own people work like a dog. They got a culture in Japan where people work long extra hours and do overtime with minimal increase in pay. Black folks don't accept that BS. Do not accept that BS. Even though it's culturally sound for them to do that with them folks, when you come in and travel into their country, you let them know, hey, you're not going to treat me like a slave out here. You understand? All right. Number 4. A Guangzhou Evolving Afro-Asian Entrepreneurial Hub. Business associations in Guangzhou, Yexu, district streamline visa processing and trade logistics for African and Afro-Caribbean import-export entrepreneurs. So, if you're a business owner and you know that a lot of these products come from China, Vietnam, Taiwan, right? They're sold on TikTok and the TikTok shop and all of these different other online access places like Temu and stuff like that, Shein and all of that stuff. Purchase the materials and sell it. Get a plug, get a connect. Okay? Here it is, a Forefront sitting there giving y'all the secret sauce. Y'all don't appreciate what we do. Y'all really don't. There's Europeans that will charge $28,000 really for the things that I'm about to tell y'all. Listen close. So you could literally get a $400, $500 bag from Temu, right? Access it. Bring in the supplies. Bring it to your house. Then repackage and resell it literally on TikTok or literally on whatever other social media platform that's out here. Okay, correct. Guangzhou is the hub for those factories. So if you got a plug that's in Guangzhou, right? You could reach out and say, hey, bro, Temu is charging me $400 or $500 for access to this thing. What price can you give me? And they'll work with you. They'll say, okay, if they're charging you $500 for a box of, let's say, electronics, or let's say clothing items, or let's say, various beauty products that women like, instead you could get it from a guy that's a plug in Guangzhou and say, hey, I'll charge you $250. You see what I'm saying? We have to have the mindset to work internationally, y'all. Okay? All right, let's continue. I'm giving y'all the secret sauce. Folks over here like, ooh, I don't know what to do, Forefront. Number 5, African Union diplomatic engagement on debt and trade terms. African Union representatives engaged Chinese trade leadership to rebalance commercial ties toward local value addition and sustainable industrial development. Now, in a nutshell, what that means is we need more factories in Africa that are not just Chinese owned and operated, but have them build the factories in Africa and then have black folks in the diaspora have ownership and leadership roles in these industries. Why sell chocolate all the way from Belgium and France and America into Africa when the cocoa is developed right in Africa? The cocoa beans, you get it right from Africa, right? So if you have a factory that processes it, you could cut the middleman out. Mr. Dwight don't gotta get all your bread. You understand? I'm just giving ideas, you know. If you're listening, you're listening. If you're listening with spiritual ears, hopefully you get it. Number 6, black artists and performers expand presence in East Asian media. African and Afro diasporic musicians, filmmakers, and digital creators collaborate with East Asian platforms, reshaping cultural representation across the region. Now, why is this important? I want y'all to consider how they have this thing called K-pop, which is really black African music, Israelite music, that they remixed and started putting like Korean and Japanese and Chinese music over it. The R&B comes from us. The rap comes from us. So instead of having them listen to our music and try to remix it in their own style, we send black creators, black celebrities over there and reap the resources and the benefits for them. How great would it be for black celebrities to gain popularity on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and then go make a tour and say, hey, let's go over there and tour in East Asia and China, do concerts over there, and put money in the pocket of our own people. What I'm saying is, use your resources and don't put all your ducks in a row in America. You understand? Even country music come from us, bruh. Except for Sweet Home Alabama. Sweet Home Alabama, that thing right there was sus. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just playing. All right. Number 7. Consular support networks for diaspora residents, African embassies in Beijing and Shanghai, enhance emergency legal and housing support structures for long-term African expatriates. Now, why is this important? Soul and jazz too, you right on that. I want y'all to think about this for a second, y'all. When the C-19 situation happened in Wuhan, they was blaming black folks for that stuff, man. And they was kicking people out of their houses and out of their apartments because they was paying rent. Now, if you have a way to purchase property in East Asia for dirt cheap and own it, can't nobody kick you off your land, bro. Can't nobody kick you off your land, bro. Straight up. You understand? Some of our people, we move into an area, and then when we move, we still got the American mindset. Well, I just pay rent here, and I just pay rent here, and I just pay rent there. You know, pay rent all your life. But if you own it, it's yours. Straight up. There you go. Straight up. Yes, we do need eco-friendly housing. And that's correct. In our divinely appointed land, all praises to the Most High. That's right. Listen, I'm looking for a new Jerusalem, y'all, that's going to come on earth. But while we're here, we live like pilgrims on the earth. So remember what our ancestors did. Abraham left from Ur the Chaldees in Iraq, Babylon area, moved all the way into Africa, right? Lived in the land of Canaan for a while, lived in Egypt for a while. He made moves, y'all, because he was a pilgrim. He knew that this place was not our rest. Kanye said America or the world is for sale. So correct. The kingdom is within you. We are New Jerusalem. All praises, all praises. All right, so let's get into number 8. Digital commerce and fintech bridges between Africa and East Asia. Cross-border payment applications scale up, allowing African entrepreneurs in China to conduct seamless transactions with African financial networks. Now, this is very good. Why? Most folks are restricted to American-based financial network systems. What do I mean by that? The Visa cards, the Mastercards, the what else? The Discovery, the American Express, right? I'm working on a platform concerning this right now, data mining. Okay, all praises to the Most High. All praises. Yeah, I like that entrepreneurial spirit. That's what's up. Um, so we're restricted, correct? The SWIFT system in the financial sector because we always have to use their quote unquote systems. But if you have access to China, where everything is done on a phone, financial transactions are done digitally, you could literally set up something where you can do trade online and it goes directly to your account, right? And it takes out the middleman of having to transfer your money from Asia to an American system, then back to your pocket. Why do we need a middleman that charges us fees every time we use it? I'm trying to think of a way where I can have resources, whether it's program donations, whether it's financial support, to not go directly to the PayPal or the Cash App, but directly to my phone. So if y'all know a way, or different people that are doing that, investors that have these programs and these apps, whether remittance apps that have decreased fees, let me know. Holla at your boy. All right. Number nine, academic resource and research alliances on global African diaspora. Asian universities partner with African and Caribbean academy institutions to conduct joint research on migration history and diaspora economics. Now, why is this important? Me being an Afro-Hebraic teacher in the Israelite community, I want to learn as much migration history of our people as possible, because the Bible predicted that the 12 tribes will be scattered into all nations. And if you can get the historical routes of migration, travel, right, you can prove based on scriptures who we are. Do y'all get it? When you can tap into the diaspora economics of our people traveling from different places, what they spent their money on, what was their financial transactions, what did they buy, what did they sell, how did they develop themselves. We are but yesterday. Remember, Abraham traveled into Egypt. When he traveled into Egypt, there was a misunderstanding between him and the Egyptians, right? To the point where they gave him compensation for the mistreatment that he received when they tried to propagate his wife to be part of Pharaoh's team, if you get what I'm saying. So I read Bible stories and I see myself there. I don't read it and just say this is just some abstract information. I say, okay, how did our ancestors benefit from the past? So what ended up happening? Abraham was able to acquire servants. Abraham was acquiring soldiers working for him, to the point where he had like over 300 men fighting with him in a war when he had to fight against the Canaanites that kidnapped Lot. You remember that story? Okay? We as a people need to think as a nation. Hopefully, Most High willing, he gives me more wisdom and inspiration on how to implement these things and to help our brothers and sisters to do this all across the planet. And number 10, dealing with East Asia, public relations and media representation initiatives. Joint media forums address stereotypical depictions of Black people in regional media, aiming to promote accurate storytelling across Asian broadcast networks. Now, why is this important? For me, being that I am a podcaster as well as a history educator and a Bible-based teacher, I see that there is a very negative and wicked streamlined programming that the whole entire world is getting when it comes to concepts of how melanated communities are viewed. So in order to circumvent that, we need to be at the forefront, pun intended, of setting up media, movies, and entertainment that are wholesome, that's not showing us as booty bandits, right? Rump shakers. I'm trying to use some kosher words here. You understand? Bangers, thugs, pimps. You understand? Not every Black person is a gangster. You understand? Not every Black person is a thug. Something kosher. Thank you. That's the word. The harlotry got to stop. You understand? Yes, our women look good, but they shouldn't be looked at as objects of whoredom. You understand? So the mindset of our people pushing the Cardi B's and the Nicki Minaj's, when they go all the way to East Asia, these dumbass let me not say that. These intellectually dishonest people will start trying to throw money at our women, saying, "Hey, hey, hey, hi, how are you?" Chinese man go to the woman and say, "Hi, you look good. Hey, I got some money, and then they'll be like, "I ain't know how. What you mean?" But they dress like the celebrities that they see on TV. So, if imagine having a movie where it's ancient black history, ancient African history, just like they have the Chinese dynasties, they fighting and warring against each other. We need to do movies like that. Imagine a movie based on the great civilization of Benin, the Haitian Revolution, the Gullah Geechee Wars, the Pequot Wars, right? The Afro-Hebraic Revolution in the United States, Nat Turner going overseas to China, and they say, "Hey, I respect these folks. These folks out here got a history that's not just based on booty dancing and rap music." Do you get it? I would love that. Yes, brother, exactly. So we have to have a mindset of moving forward and progressing to change our image that's being pushed all throughout the earth. We are the sons and daughters of royalty. Remember that. All right, so that hits us for the news in East Asia. Now let's touch on Africa. Number one, African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, implementing milestones. Trade barriers fall as intra-African commerce scales up, boosting regional industrialization and cross-border entrepreneurship across all 55 member states. Now, many of y'all know I'm in the country of Malawi. It's about 19 to 20 million people here. Even though there's 19 to 20 million people here, do you know I working in the medical field as a orthopedic technician, I have not seen, instead of just the public hospital, I don't see orthopedic clinics here. I don't see emergency urgent care facilities. Y'all know how y'all got a CVS damn near in every corner in America, in the metropolitan centers and cities? You could go to the CVS, go to the pharmacy, get your blood pressure checked, get your medications, get your pharmaceutical needs, get your, what else? Various basic stuff, right? You go in the pharmacy, you can't sleep. They got the vitamin gummies where you take the, what is it called, melatonin or whatever, and it helps you sleep. They don't have that in Africa, y'all. They don't have that. Where I'm at, I don't know if South Africa maybe has these type of things, but here in Malawi, they don't have that. So guess what? If you work in the medical field, you can open up a clinic. If you work in the medical field, you can open up a center, urgent care center. Okay. Yes, of course, it requires resources. Yes, everything requires money. Wisdom is the defense and money is the defense. But the Bible says, where there is no vision, the people fail. Okay? Okay, you understand? So do you know how many millions of dollars these jokers are doing, changing and closing down these CVS's and these Walgreens to convert them now into urgent care centers? They see the cost of healthcare is increasing, and they see the access to hospitals and various things are not there. So imagine setting up one like these in Ghana, Ethiopia, where else? Malawi, Tanzania, Egypt, South Africa. You understand? Malawi, Zambia, Botswana, especially the folks that don't have access to these things, right? Now, let me tell it to you from a spiritual perspective. Remember what Christ did, and I'm going to show you what Christ did, so that way we can have the same mindset of what he did for his people and what he instructed the disciples to do. Watch this. Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So we go to the children of our people, and this is what we promote. And as you go preach, say, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick. Heal the sick. So now, how many of us are healthcare workers? The first thing he said was, first preach the kingdom and then heal the sick. How come we don't got African American hospitals in Africa? What's going on here? Hmm? The very thing that many of our grandmothers and grandfathers worked in as doctors, technicians, Christ said, heal the sick. That's what God said. God said it. The Son of God said it. Do you get it? Cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. So, if you're traveling and you have a skill set and a mindset to help your people, use your skill set, y'all. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right, number 2. African Union Agenda 2063 infrastructure projects. Major continental railway, that's important for trading goods, energy, and digital connectivity investments accelerate to foster economic independence and regional integration. Now, I'm going to tell you something that pissed me the hell off. The company here, one of the main companies here that provide both cell phone service and internet service is called TNM. TNM stands for Telecom Networks of Malawi. Okay, Malawi is a black country with predominantly well over 10 million to 15 million people here. Guess who's the CEO of this telecommunication center that's owned by the Malawian system? This demographic right here. Them folks, the CEO in a black country to give internet and phone service is folks that for centuries colonized and oppressed our people. You telling me that there's no black folks in America that got telecommunication skills? You telling me there's no black folks in America that got IT skills? That's what you tell me? You just saw his LinkedIn. You Googled it. You see the brother on point. See, Forefront know what he talk about. Y'all can fact check me. I know what the hell I'm talking about. He said, I just saw his LinkedIn. Sheesh. You see, a whole entire black country and the phone service, the internet I'm using right now, is from them folks. Now imagine if you owned your own telecommunication company and you was able to travel all throughout Africa and set up towers, set up networking. Some of y'all got that skill. I know it. Some of y'all brothers on here are IT professionals. You know how to plug the phone into the computer, into your cell phone, your whole entire, like you go to their house and a brother could tap on his phone and the entire house is operating from his phone. And it's outside of the internet connectivity of outside. You understand? There's folks out here that they just go to an app and they can open up their garage door, start their car. You understand what I'm saying? So imagine if you have the skill set to bring that over to Africa. See, Kwabena said, hey, I got those skills. There you go, bro. We don't need them other nations if you got the brain set and skill set. Okay? Okay, I'm just saying. Number 3, tech hub expansion across West, East, and Southern Africa. Lagos, Nairobi, Cape Town, and Accra consolidate status as global tech powerhouses, attracting foreign direct investment for fintech, climate tech, and healthcare startups. Number 4, renewable energy and critical mineral value addition. African governments enact policies requiring domestic processing of critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and copper prior to export to keep wealth within local economies. Now, why is this important? You have Ishmaelite Arabs that go into various areas across the Congo, Malawi, Zambia, South Africa. They extract these minerals. Chinese people are doing this too. European people are doing this too. They're extracting the minerals, the lithium, the cobalt, the diamonds, right? And they go overseas to process it. Now, I want you to think about this. They process it overseas, and then they bring the products right back to Africa after they process it and sell it at a premium. Okay, lithium batteries. The lithium comes out of Africa, correct? Why for yes and for no? Is my internet off? What's going on here? I'm not seeing people's names here. Okay, there we go. Yes, yes. Okay, exactly. So now, Duracell, right? Think about what I'm saying. Duracell, Energizer, right? They make the batteries and they sell it back to Africa, and you find it in the African stores. Bruh, bruh, are you kidding me? The lithium is right in your. Okay, let me make it plain. You're in your house. You're in your house. You have salt on the counter, okay? Salt. Let's just say salt. Your neighbor comes into your house, grabs the salt, makes a steak with the salt, adds the spice, and then sells you back the steak. Do you get it? Do you get it? I'm trying to make it in something basic where you can see this thing. It was like, hey, this is dumb as hell. You understand? We use copper wirings. We don't need them batteries. There you go. Get energy from the ether and use a conductor with equipment. Wow. All praises. I like a smart. That's just a smart. Okay, we got wires, yep. There you go. So these various critical minerals, if they keep it in-house, then they could charge a premium to those that want to export it after it's already developed. Okay? We need some Africa batteries, damn it. All right, number 5. African diaspora dual citizenship and return initiatives. Nations like Ghana, Sierra Leone, Rwanda streamline dual citizenship pathways and land investment frameworks for global diaspora members. Now, I am a strong advocate for traveling across the world and experiencing different things in the black community, okay? We are 12 tribes scattered worldwide. Imagine access to citizenship in Ghana, Sierra Leone, or Rwanda. You can do big things, y'all. You could do big things. Your mind is the only limitation, y'all. Your access is the only limitation. Once these hindrances are removed, you can think clear, right? You can be able to do great things for your people internationally, right? So it's very important for us to understand these news stories as it relates to our people and invest in helping our people, y'all. Invest in the forefront radio so some of our stratagems that we're discussing, we can implement it here and abroad. Okay? Number 6, Pan-African youth employment and vocational training. Public-private partnerships target youth unemployment through tech academies, green jobs programs, and creative economic grants. Now, why is this important? Especially in a country like Malawi, Zambia, Tanzania, and various other places where there's a large black population, right? Many of our children, many of the youth, don't have skill sets. They go to school and they come out with a degree, but when they come out with a degree, even my wife told me this, they don't got no doggone jobs. They don't got no jobs out here. So you could be a person, get your bachelor's or master's or even your PhD, and then you come and find that there's nothing here that's already developed for you to use your skill set in, right? All men should be architects and messengers of Abba Yahuwah. I like that statement. All praises. Yes. If you build it, they will come, right? All praises to the Most High. If you build it, they will come. That's right. I like that thing right there. So if we can find a way to target these youth and help them, right? Set up a business in Africa where they can get the necessary training and job skills, you could help build up your people all across the world, y'all. Okay? I always say this. If European folks could go to war with each other and blow each other to hell and back in both World War I, World War II, you, being that we never had a global war against each other, right? You could get together with other melanated communities and help each other out and do what you need to do to build your people. Okay, all over the world. 12 tribes scattered worldwide. That's right. Number 7, African creative economy and film industry global surge. Afrobeats. Who's heard of Afrobeats? I've heard of Afrobeats. Amapiano and Nollywood continue record-breaking international expansion, creating local production ecosystems and global distribution deals. So, Some of the stuff that you see on Tubi, some of the stuff you see from like Nollywood and all these different things, some of that stuff is evil as hell, y'all. So we must invest in stratagem to have access and pushing music, entertainment from a righteous perspective. Listen, the Bible already says, let's read it. Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. It says, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." So how is it we created R&B music, we created hip hop music, we created jazz, country, and all of this stuff, but we don't have the ownership to these things throughout Africa? So if you have the skill set in music, you could set up a distribution company where you get young brothers and young sisters that are singers and entertainers and say, look, you're not going to be singing about booty dancing and all of this stuff. You're going to be singing righteous music to reach our communities in Ghana, Nigeria, and all of that to wake our people up. Remember, back in the early 90s, we had different video programs like A Different World that talked about black folks that are in college and university. College admissions, university admissions went up when we saw a representation of ourselves in these sectors. You had TV shows like The Bill Cosby Show that showed a centralized family unit with a black father, a black mother, and children doing problem solving. Every episode was a problem where there was a resolution towards the end. Guess what? Family sector was increasing when black folks saw each other married, loving each other, and caring for their children. Now, name 5 programs in Africa right now that's teaching the same thing. I'll wait.
Hostile in range.
I'll wait. I can't even think of one. Damn.
Thug life.
Help me out, y'all. Help me out. Help me help you. Okay, name 3. Cobain Joshua said none, unfortunately. He said little to none. Nelly Bo said none. Joyful said, I don't know any. There you go. There you go. So let's say you're an artist. You like to draw, right? You learn, you go online and say, hey, how can I use my skills in drawing to start animation? You create a YouTube channel, right? That's how some of these people have access, right? You start putting out cartoons from a righteous perspective, right? Let's say the 10 Commandments movie, instead of putting it where it's all European folks, you got black folks doing it. Let's say a movie about Christ and the resurrection, instead of it being European people pushing it, you got black folks doing it. And then you reach out to folks that are distributing in Africa and say, hey, I have a animation that's based on African American culture, Haitian culture, Jamaican culture, Latin American, Afro-Latino culture, and then you go and you push that over there in Africa. Guess what's going to happen? Folks are going to eat it up. Listen, I'm in Africa right now, but guess what? Everybody got a cell phone. Everybody got access to the internet. Not everybody, but most folks. So why am I watching something and I have my kids tuned into watching, let's say, Omo Berry or what's another black cartoon? What's another black cartoon on YouTube? Let's say Miss Rachel, right? Why the hell my kids gotta watch other demographics? Why I can't have a whole entire channel lined up where it's straight up black cartoons? Use your skill set. Use your skill set. Use your intelligence, y'all. Just listen. There's this one called Achille and Me, right? I don't know if y'all ever heard of it. It's a program that's on YouTube right now. They have one video, and the video already has millions of views. Millions, y'all. So let's say you make a black cartoon and you put it behind the subscription service and you only charge $1. $1. Just $1 for a person to get it, rent it, and view it. And 43 million people watch it for $1. Right, right. Don't forget Gracie's Corner. There you go. Do you get it? Do y'all see what we saying? So what the Europeans did, they put a black face on top of it. It'll be something British made. They'll put a black face on it. It'll be British made, and then they'll read the benefits and say, hey, if you like this cartoon, tell your mama or your sister or your daddy or your brother to download this app on the phone, so you get the app straight to your phone, to your smartphone. And then they'll charge, let's say, $2.99 for you to download the app, and then they watching the cartoons that European people made of black people on your phone. Bruh, these nations will capitalize on our people. And simple stuff that we could do, they're doing it, y'all. Okay, I'm just saying. So if you have the skill set in film, in the film industry, do something righteous. Christ said it himself, you are the light of the world. Now, we know that's talking about keeping the laws of the Most High. Don't be simple out here. We know that's talking about keeping the laws and commandments, but we know that you are the light of the world. You are the people that everybody looks to follow with the trends, baby. So promote the truth, promote righteousness, promote our people, remove the negative stereotypes by putting a vision of our people in the community, especially in Africa. There's no reason in Africa that our people should be watching Barbie and Ken and Karen and Punjabi and all these cartoons that got nothing to do with folks that look like us. Okay? There's no reason they should watch Nollywood, and Nollywood is pushing African American dark culture, right? Black culture of booty banging, witchcraft, sorcery, adultery. While I'm watching a movie and it's from Nollywood, Nigeria, whatever, and they talking about this person, he got his power from doing witchcraft and voodoo, and he unalived people to do this, and he committed adultery, and then at the end of the movie, he gets shot and killed. I'm like, what? What's the moral of the story of that? So we have to be the agent of change that we so desire. I keep saying that. All right, number 8. Climate resilience and green agricultural adaptation. Governments deploy climate-smart agricultural frameworks to protect food security and smallholder farmers against changing weather patterns. Now, I had a conversation with my wife earlier, and we was joking around when we was at the store. Went to buy some shoes and a pair of slacks for this wedding we about to go to next month, and my baby had took off her shoes, and she was barefoot. And I said it jokingly. I said, hey, why my baby foot so dirty? Look like she walking on the plantation. What's going on here? It look like a slave foot over here. I started laughing. Then my wife said to me, hey, you have to take into consideration that when the Europeans came and colonized this area, they already saw our people working in the agricultural sector, developing their own crops as farmers. And then they exploited that understanding that our people had. And I said, you know what? Yeah, baby, you're right. You know, when we talk about the agricultural sector, it ain't always about, slavery and colonization. Our people developed their own lands. So we shouldn't diminish that. And especially for the fact that her father used to be a farmer and owned land and property, had crops and everything. So, we have to take into consideration how we deal, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we move to a place and we still hold on the American mindset. So I want to always encourage y'all that when you're moving to another country, make sure you think about yourself and think about how you conduct yourself when you're in a foreign country, whether in South Africa, whether in Malawi, Tanzania, Egypt, Ethiopia, wherever you go, yes, we do have the best inventions and original concepts. All praises to the Most High. All right, we're going to touch on the last 2 options in regards to the news going on in Africa. Number 9, healthcare sovereignty and domestic. No, I'm not going to touch on that because that's talking about vaccines. Number 10, Pan-African cultural heritage and repatriation facilities. New state-of-the-art national museums open across the continent to house returned historical artifacts and showcase ancestral heritage. Now, I'm a big history fan. I love history. Imagine if you could go and see a 3D movie giving you our history from our perspective, like Discovery Channel, National Geographic Channel, the National Museums of Art and Culture and all of this stuff. Imagine learning about the great kingdoms of Zimbabwe, where Israelite Jews were there, the great kingdom of Timbuktu and Mali, the manuscripts that were made that got stolen from Arabs and Europeans, right? Imagine learning about the various forms of script that our people had. Y'all do know English was derived from the alphabet, which was a phonetic taking from the Canaanites and the Israelites, right? Aleph, alpha, bait, bet, alphabet, aleph, bet. So English is derived not only from the Latin characters, but also the aleph, bet of our people. So imagine learning about African script. How come we only learning about English, Spanish, Dutch, French, right? How come you're not learning about our people and how they wrote in an Afro-Judaic Arabic script? Hmm? Yeah. These jokers out here, they smile and laugh in your face and say, look at y'all Africans, y'all black folks, y'all ain't got your own language, y'all ain't got your own culture, y'all ain't got your own da 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 da. And guess what? They're lying. There's African script, y'all. There's writing systems. There's mathematical systems. Okay? The ancient Egyptians and Babylonians used to have a numerical system that was based on 60, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I know Western culture is based on like a 10 and a decimal system. They had a system based on 60. All right, let me not get too technical. All right, the last point of news is top 10 for black folks in Oceania and the Pacific Islands, and then we're going to close off our discussion for today. Quabena said, yes, we, the African languages, are great. Exactly. All right, number 1. Melanesia and Black Pacific Solidarity Movements. Folks don't know that we got a place called Melanesia, y'all. Black Asia, Melanesia, melanin. Hello. Cultural and political links strengthen between West Papua New Guinean, Kanak, aka New Caledonia, and global Afro-diasporic climate and self-determination activists. Y'all, I want y'all to think about this. There was a war against our people in the Pacific Islands. Many of our people that were taken as Papua New Guineans, New Guinea, Old Guinea is West Africa, New Guinea is that area in the Pacific Islands, right? Australians, New Zealanders, British folks, American folks, was taking folks back and forth between the Pacific Islands and Hawaii, the Pacific Islands and Central America, the Pacific Islands and the United States, the Pacific Islands, Oceania, Australia, and taking them all the way to Brazil and all these areas. When the Bible says that we were scattered into all nations, it ain't lying, y'all. It ain't lying, y'all. It's telling the God's the honest truth. It says, in global Afro-diasporic climate and self-determination activists. Number 2, Kanak self-determination. Now, we know the term Kanaka is a byword and a proverb. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37, it tells us that thou shalt become an astonishment, a byword, and a proverb. Our people are given titles that are not their real original names, okay? Africa is the source of life, but most of us are not African, and we are not crayon colors shake my head. Okay, you just joined my live and you're making a comment. While your comment is insightful, this platform is not to try to discourage anyone from investing overseas. If a European from America can fight with a European German person in war, in World War II, World War I, right, have complete animosity towards each other, and then after the fact that they were annihilating each other and unaliving each other for years, turn back and sit at the dinner table and say, let me invest in your country and you invest in mine, so that way we both develop and get ahead over other nationalities. What stops you as a black person in the Western world from going to the Caribbean islands, going to Africa, going to Europe, going to Asia, going to Papua New Guinea, and setting up strategic investments that'll benefit you and yours? You know what's hindering you? Stupidity. You know what's hindering you? We ain't Africans. We's our own people, Massa. Massa, look. Them black folks over there ain't black folks like us, massa.
Thug life.
That FBA stuff don't work on me. I'm gonna tell you straight. That propaganda from Tariq Nasheed telling people not to associate with melanated communities all across the planet is intellectual dishonesty. I don't give a damn who you are, okay? So I appreciate your comment, but from going forward, I'm just gonna help you out. You're gonna be in mutant land for today, okay? Mute. Okay? Here it is. We covering news stories that impact our people, and folks over say, I ain't African. So the hell what? And? Okay. All right. Let's continue. Number 3. Pacific climate migration and indigenous rights. Pacific Island nations led global advocacy for climate justice, securing funding for coastal resilience and heritage preservation against rising sea levels. Now, we know that the plagues are happening on the earth right now. So he said the sheet is an agent. Hey, I believe you. I believe you. Number 4. African diaspora community growth in Australia and New Zealand. Yes, there's black folks in Australia. Expanding black populations in Sydney, Melbourne, and Auckland established community centers, advocacy groups, and business networks. I know some of y'all are very intelligent. Some of y'all are teachers, educators, and entrepreneurs, right? Imagine traveling all the way to Australia and set up programs just like you have the YMCA over in America. You could do some of these developmental groups and advocacy groups for children, right? Those of you that are business entrepreneurs, you have your degree in business management. You can do seminars, right? Imagine you go overseas to Australia, you do a seminar and say, hey, I'm just going to charge $150 for people to come and learn some of the skill sets we have in America. And you teach your people how to develop themselves and have business strategies that you've acquired overseas. There's always, hold on a second, y'all. All right, y'all. I apologize. My daughter just came over here to the room. So, all right. Number 4. We could touch that. Number 5. Auckland and Sydney Black Entrepreneurship Alliances. The first and second generation African and Caribbean entrepreneurs launched business hubs tackling equity capital gaps in the Australasian market. Number 6, Polynesian and African cultural exchange programs. Joint arts and storytelling festivals celebrate shared histories of navigation, oral tradition, and indigenous resistance across the Pacific Basin. Number 7, addressing the racial profiling and law enforcement equity in Australia. So as you can see, the same thing we're experiencing in America, experiencing in Britain, our people are experiencing in Australia. Legal centers highlight data calling for systemic reforms in youth justice, policing affecting African, Australian, and Indigenous Pacific Islander youth. So the stop and frisk that's going on in the UK, going on in New York, is going on in Australia. So there's an agenda here, y'all. Policing in the Western world, dealing with these folks, right, is very odd because they'll over-police our populations, even though a vast majority of criminal activity done on their side of the fence is thrown under the rug. Have you seen the Nolan Wells case? Whole bunch of European folks at a so-called party for the 4th of July. Black man ends up missing and none of them are in jail. In fact, you got dumb folks like Brandon Tatum that's interviewing criminal activity, y'all. Here it is, you're a fugitive from justice, a black man is unalive, and Brandon Tatum, folks that look like us, that's married to a European woman, he says, hey, I would like to interview you. Why don't you come on my podcast and let's talk about the events and let's the hell? What's going on here? Some folks elevator don't go to the top floor. I'm just telling you straight. Number 8, academic studies on Afro-Pacific historical intersections. Africa and the Pacific Islands. Right, that's the dumbest thing. Exactly. Universities in Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand initiate research programs documenting historical trade, labor migration, and maritime links. Now, why is this important? Do y'all remember in the Bible where you read in the Bible where the Israelites were taken into Egypt again with ships? This fits the history of our people in both the Fiji Islands, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand. So imagine if you research the historical trade. Imagine if you find out the slave trade and the labor migration of where they took our people. Imagine if you find the history of the ships that traveled across the Pacific Islands into places like Australia, United States, Guam, Puerto Rico, right? You understand? Hawaii, California, Washington, right? All those areas on the Pacific coast of the United States have people that were taken from the Pacific Islands and brought over there. Australia used to be a part of Britain. So how many black folks from Papua New Guinea, Fiji Islands, New Zealand are now living and working and growing up in Britain and don't even know that their ancestors is from that region? Do you get it? This is why history is always important, y'all. The connection between the Bible and our history is always impactful. Now, number 9, mental health and cultural response support services. Community healthcare providers receive grants to deliver specialized cultural informed mental health programs for African and Pacific Islander families. And number 10, sports and youth leadership pathways. Grassroots sports organizations leverage rugby, basketball, and athletics programs to offer mentorship, university scholarship, and career leadership training. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. So this has been your global top 10 news all over. If you appreciate the live here on the Forefront Radio, make sure you follow this account. Make sure you subscribe to us here on the Forefront Radio. We're going to play the last song for today and we're going to close out.
The kingdoms for you, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians too, the scattered sheep all across the world. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. Moses and Christ, they gave the law and grace to keep you from sinning so hard. The things before were written before time that we could learn through all places and covers. We got the scripts to keep you alive, away from sin, but we rebelled and self-offended. Our slavery was the price we get. Our women, our kids were taken on ships, murdered by enemy chains and whips. They changed our names from fame to shame, Hebrew to English to Spanish game, then ended up in the Pilgrim's game. Slaughtered our people, Indian names, gave us religion from cradle to grave. Stuck in idolatry, seas of Borgia, Babylon, a great Babylon. America singing the same old song, put us in chains, ain't saying we free. Destroyed our minds through slavery, curses in Deuteronomy. The Bible is just our history. The Israelites, that's who we be. The truth someday will set us free.
Repent, repent, the kingdom's for you.
The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians too. The scattered sheep all across the world.
We are the 12 tribes of Israel. Repent, repent, the kingdom's for you. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native.
Shalom to everybody joining on. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. That's right.
We are the 12 tribes of Israel. Lies and lies, insanity, Islam and Christianity. You're living in lies. Can't you see the Bible's a lie, but y'all can't read? Risen about your sleep. The Bible is real, but y'all don't seek his righteousness. The light, the king.
If you appreciate the live efforts here, y'all, make sure y'all follow this account, The Forefront Radio, on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
The money you spend on killing your people with drugs, you did. The God of the pimp, the kings, and yeah, the featuring the lies you follow. Him, the death and destruction, the strong delusion. I'm telling my people it's all confusion. Babylon the great, Babylon Caesar Borgia, singing a song of white supremacy. My people, can't y'all see? We the Israelites, my people cannot read. We gotta stand right. Why my people have to fight?
Repent, the kingdom's for you. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians too.
I saw your message, FNT. I'll go to it when I get an opportunity to check my inbox, all right? So thank you for sending the email, the direct message.
The kingdom's for you, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians too. The scattered sheep all across the world. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. We are the 12 tribes of Israel.
Numbers chapter 6 verse 22. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. I hope this discussion has been a blessing for you. Thank you all for tuning in.
Call his name, tell the story. Ancient roots, future glory. Brown skin, sun-baked, feet in the sand. Heard us cry in the desert, reached out his hand. He's the one, kept the promise, marked our path through the darkness. Turned our sorrow into songs, turned our prison into songs. He brought us out of Egypt, straight through the water we breathe in. Freedom, God of Israel, we still believe it. From Africa's dust to a crowned up kingdom, he brought us out of Egypt. Oh, chains hit the floor when he speaks.
Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the support. Thank you for showing loves. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the cash apps. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all.
Plagues came down for the people he chose. King said stay, but his power exposed. Turned a no to a go over idols and thrones. Broke that yoke for his kin, for his own. Fed us bread in a dry land. Water split by a strong hand.
Love you too. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the love. All praises.
Freedom and road. Took a small scattered tribe, made a nation alive. He brought us out of Egypt, straight through the water we breathe in. Freedom, God of Israel.
All praises to the Most High. Thank you for the gift. Thank you so much.
He brought us out of Egypt. Chains hit the floor when he speaks, and we lift us to that pillar in the night. We see him, God of Israel. My soul, from the brick fields to the big stage. Same God, new age, still the fire, still the cloud.
All praises to the Most High for another opportunity to come and educate our people and build up our communities. Thank you so much for your listenership. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the blessings. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes scattered abroad.
Right now, stretch his arm out, bring us all out. He brought us out of Egypt, straight through the water we breathe in. Freedom, God of Israel, we still believe it. From Africa's dust to a crowned up kingdom, he brought us out of Egypt, chains at the floor. When he speaks and we lift up, lift up, lift up. Still that pillar in the night. We see him, God of Israel. My soul won't leave him. Yeah. From the mud to the mountain.
This song is called Out of Egypt. Out of Egypt can be found on our SoundCloud page under the Outcasts of Israel playlist album. So go to our SoundCloud page and listen to the music.